the pictures, just say, how old were you when this one was made?
Okay.
What we do, stand up?
When we get
Right.
going. When we get going, okay?
Okay.
You'll have to tell me because I can't hear them.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember when this picture was made?
1917.
How old were you then? How old were you?
Oh, I was about 13.
Is this made before you got married?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Ask her when she started working in the mills.
Okay.
I was 13, 14 when I started working in the mill. About 13.
So this was made around the time you started working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then you could work before you were 16. And after I got married, I had to work part from September the 1st to September the 23rd. I had to come out at 4 o'clock because I couldn't work 10 hours. I wasn't 16.
Wow.
What did you do in the mill?
Well, I started out in the cloth room packing. And then when I got married, I got a transfer to the spinning room and I started spinning.
Tell us what it was like in the mill that
Oh, it was pretty good along then. To me, I was young, I could take it.
Did you have a lot of, did more or less the mill tell you what to do and everything?
Oh yeah, sure, we had a boss man, 2 or 3 of them.
How about, you know, in town and stuff? Did they more or less tell you, did they tell you where to live or anything like that?
Yeah, they owned the town, the houses and the stores and everything,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. But if you wanted to move or wanted a different house, of course you had to ask for it. We moved from 22 Main Street across the street to the other house, and then we moved from there up here. When they sold the houses, we bought this house.
Uh-huh.
But you had to ask. And we paid, when we lived in the company house, we paid $1 a week house rent.
Did it ever go up?
Well, when Adam got a better job and we moved across the street and they started sheetrocking and fixing the houses up, then they went up on the rent.
They fixed it just because he got a better job?
Yeah. They fixed all of the, well, not supervisors, but fixers or whatever. They all fixed up all of their houses. And we lived in that one across the street. They fixed it up, sheetrocked it.
Really? So what did they do? Did they just come in and do it without?
Just come in one morning and said they come to sheetrock the house.
You didn't have no say-so of it?
I didn't know nothing about it till they come in.
Something. And then the rent went up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much was it after that?
I don't remember, Sandy. It seemed like it was $4. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's been a long time ago. My mind ain't too good at remembering things way back.
Well, do you remember what it was like, you know, working in the mill? Did you have very much of a workload, or?
No, not to start with.
How many frames did you run?
I run 6 sides to start with after I learned.
Uh-huh.
And when I come out, I was running 36. There's new spinning frames, different, entirely different. Different spinning and everything was different. Reverse twist.
Now, when you first went in, you had a lot of rest time, I believe. Do you want to tell us about that? And then
About what?
Rest, you had breaks.
Oh yeah, we could take a break. We had to leave our job running, but we could take a break. We had a room out there where we took a lunch and had coffee. And of course we couldn't stay but a little while, but we took breaks.
Do you know how much break time you got during, you know, your work time?
No, we just took time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
They didn't have any scheduled
No,
time?
they
or
didn't
anything
have
like that?
scheduled time. We just went at different times. Different people went different times.
What happened after the machinery was speeded up?
After what?
Was the machinery, did they speed the machinery up after a certain time?
Not till they put the new ones in, not so much. They speeded them some, But the old frames, they couldn't speed too much. But they put in new frames.
Yeah, that's why they put them in, so they could speed them up.
That's when it's...
Is that right? What was it like, you know, around town then?
Well, it was all right.
Was it?
We could go off and leave the doors unfastened then.
Well, you know, I remember when I was little, we could do that too.
Yeah.
But
Go to bed at night, never shut a door, never fasten a door.
probably couldn't do that now, though, could you?
No, you can't do it now.
Did you have like a company store?
Yeah, we had a company store.
You remember
You could charge your groceries.
They take it out of your check, or
No, you paid it.
you paid it in cash?
They didn't take it out of your check.
Oh.
They paid off in a little envelope. But I didn't save one, which I sure wished I had.
Do you remember what you got paid at the beginning?
Well,
Would you ask that question?
Okay. Do you remember how much you got paid?
it's around $10 a week.
Really?
Yeah. And when I got married, my husband was making $12.60 a week. They paid off every week for a while, and then they dropped it down to paid off every 2 weeks.
What happened when Roosevelt got elected? You want to ask that?
Oh, I don't, I don't remember too much about that. That's when they put in Social Security. I remember that. That's the best thing that ever happened to us. If it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd be doing now.
You know, we have this, I have this poster that Roosevelt had signed, and it said if he had to work in a factory, he would join the union. You know, and I just wonder if he made any kind of difference when he was elected as to how, you know, working conditions and that kind of thing.
Well, I can't remember too much about that, Cindy.
Did he shorten your hours, or?
Yeah, no, yeah, they went to 8 hours, 2 8-hour shifts.
Uh-huh.
But when I first started work, they was working 10 hours.
Did they pay you more money when you went to 8-hour shifts?
Well, we gradually made more money. Depends on how many sides you run. If you took more sides, you made more money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the more of the workload you took on, the more money
More
you made.
money you made.
Huh.
Tell us about the foreman,
The
supervisor.
what?
Your supervisor.
Oh,
You remember your supervisor?
Yeah, sure. They was all right.
They treated you all right?
Charles Alexander was over the spinning room. And then they had section men, supervisors, and of course they were okay. They had to do what they was told to do, just like we had to do what they told us to do.
Could you ask him to repeat that and say the supervisors had to do?
Okay, can you say that again? The supervisors had to do?
What they were told to do. They had a boss over them.
I just wanted to start to say the supervisors had.
The supervisors had.
Yeah, if she could say, well, the supervisors had to do what the boss said to do.
Okay. Can you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The supervisors had a boss. Charles Alexander was the boss of the whole thing. Everybody that worked there was under him.
Did you know him?
Sure.
Tell us about him.
Well, I can't tell you too much about him. He had a big office sitting in the middle of the floor there in the spinning room, and he sit up on a chair up in his desk, and he told the others what to do, and they told us what to do. But after we got, you know, on our own sides and all, we knew what we had to do. Of course, they told us things that we had to do, as far as cleaning up and different things like that.
Did you have did you have regular duties every day, or?
Everything, every day we had to do certain jobs of cleaning up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. like brushing back guides and brushing rails and running out guides. Had to be done 2 or 3 times a day.
Had to do that plus running your spinning frames?
Yeah.
Huh.
We had to keep them clean.
Now, did you have any health problems from working in the mill?
And it was.
Health problems?
No.
Do you know people who did?
You know, say like their feet and legs bothered them or
Well,
hands or anything like that?
not really.
What about the breathing, lung?
No. We had a lot of lint. And it wasn't air conditioned. It was real hot. Sometimes we'd get so hot, we'd go over to the spigot and we'd get a piece of cloth and wet it and wrap it around our neck to try to keep us a little bit cooler.
I do that now.
I know the man that checked me one time, he said, I want to ask you something. I said, okay. He said, why do you put that wet cloth around your neck? I said, because it's hot and I try to keep me a little bit cooler.
Now, what did you eat in the mill?
What did I want?
What'd you eat? Did you take your lunch?
We took our own lunch. Yeah, we took our own lunch. They had drinks, but we took our own lunch.
Tell us about the dope wagon. Ask her about the dope wagon.
Well, there's one come through about once or twice a day. Had snacks and sometimes sandwiches and drinks, and you could buy them off of that.
Now, in 1934, there was you want to ask her about the strike then?
Okay, do you remember much about the strike that was in 1934?
If you're talking about 34, I remember the last strike. I don't know when that was, but where y'all talked the other night, I don't remember too much about a 34 strike.
You remember when the National Guard came
I
here
remember the National Guards.
and stood guard on the gate and everything?
They sat outside the gate there. I remember that. But I don't know what year that was, but that was the last strike. That was when I had to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Ask her why she had to go to work.
Why'd you have to go to work?
Well, my husband was involved in the union, and he was doing a lot for the union. And they wanted him out of the union. They gave him a better job. And they told him that I would have to get out of the union.
You had to get out too?
Yes, I had to get out too. And I had to go to work.
What, during the strike you had to?
I had to work during the strike. He come home one time at dinner time and told me, I was cleaning the house, he said, you're going to have to go to work. I said, for what? And he said, they told me that to bring you in, if I didn't come, he wouldn't have no job. So I had to drop everything and go to work. And I walked through the picket line, and I was called a scab.
How'd you feel about that?
I didn't like it, because they made me go to work. I didn't want to go to work. Of course, the union didn't make me go to work. The company was the one that made me go to work.
Could you say that again?
The union didn't make me go to work. The company made me go to work.
Now, you knew
But the union is the one that calls me the scabs.
Did they? I wonder if she knew those people.
Oh, did you know those people that were
Sure.
standing out there?
People I'd worked with about all my life, a lot of them. None of them put their hands on you.
Now, these scabs, the strikers outside, ask about this. The strikers outside, did they have things in their hands? Did they threaten her or anything like that?
No.
When the strikers were outside, did they have anything in their hands or
No.
anything?
Could you
They
ask that
didn't-
again? We have the card.
No.
Okay. Hold it just a second.
When you're ready.
When the strikers were outside, did they have any kind of weapons in their hands?
No.
Or Did they do anything to you?
No, they didn't put their hands on me.
Just hollered and called
Just
you a
hollered.
scab.
Just hollered.
I know that left a bad impression, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah. People you'd always known all your life,
Yeah.
and now you were
Yeah.
on different.
And when everything was over and people went back to work, people that I knew and worked with ever since I'd been working wouldn't even speak to me
Mm.
because I had worked during the strike, which I could not help.
And you couldn't make them understand that either, could
No.
you?
Sure couldn't.
I think we've got everything.
Okay, I want to get on to
Do you remember the National Guard coming in and
Sure.
standing guard on the gate?
Sure, I remember. They had sandbags. They stood at the main gate.
They have any kind of weapons or anything?
I guess they had weapons, of course. They was down in behind the sandbags, and I don't know. I couldn't say they had weapons.
Were they friendly to you, or
They didn't speak.
they
Not-
didn't?
No, not to me.
could you ask her again how she felt when she was going through the picket line?
Okay.
But there's the woman that run the library, Miss Heathman. She asked me one time if I wanted somebody to come and walk with me through the gate. I said, no, I'm not afraid. But there was another lady that worked up there with me, Mrs. Thompson. She had to go to work too. And me and her went in together most of the time. But they didn't offer to touch me.
Okay. How did you feel when you were going through the picket line?
I felt terrible.
Yeah, I bet so.
Ask how
That's terrible.
old she was when she first went into the mill.
How old were you when you first went into the mill?
I was between 13 and 14 when I first went to work. I quit school and went to work in a cloth room.
Ask her how much she made.
How much did you make?
Oh, I can't really remember that. Wasn't very much. But I just can't remember exactly what I made.
Now, you were living in a mill village.
Yes.
Ask her about the mill village.
What was it like to live in a mill town?
It was all right. They didn't bother you. If you didn't do nothing out of the way, if you wanted anything done, you went to the company and asked about it. If they wanted to do it, they did it. If they didn't, you didn't get it done.
God.
But they didn't bother you.
Was there, ask about, is there any attempt to do organizing early on?
Do you remember any kind of attempt to organize a union back in the 30s or during that time?
Not really.
Not really.
No, not really.
Ask her when she first heard about unions.
Okay.
I heard about it when my husband got into it.
But you'd never heard of unions before.
Yeah, I'd heard of unions, but I'd never been asked nothing about a union. But I joined the union till he got in, when he was involved in it. But
What did he do in
well,
the
he
union?
was a golfer.
I mean, what did he do for the union?
Well, they had meetings. He attended meetings and he talked to people.
Trying to get people to join?
Trying to get people to join. And the supervisor and overseer of the mill said, get him out of the union. And that's when they gave him a better job.
Could you ask her about women and participation in the union?
Okay. Did many women participate in the union, or
Yes, quite a few.
really?
Yes, quite a few.
Was it more men than women though?
I don't think so.
Really?
There was a lot of women.
That's surprising.
No, they was. I remember several of them very well.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd they do?
They're the ones that hollered scabs.
Oh, they're the ones that
Yeah.
that hollered at you.
And when they see you outside somewhere else from rather than the mill, you were still a scab.
Okay, Cindy, you want to tell your grandmother what you're doing?
What I'm doing in the union?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Talk about my job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know, I'm still working in the mill.
Yeah, I know you're still working in the mill.
Yeah. I'm also pretty well, you know, pretty involved in the union.
Yeah, I know that too.
I'm a secretary of the local, and I'm also a shop steward.
Yeah, I knew that too.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. But, you know, I kind of feel like a lot of people get treated unfairly.
Yeah, I know that too.
Yeah. You know, some people can get by with anything they want to, and then again, there are others that can't do anything. And it's things like that that make me want to get involved in the union. And, of course, we have a company that's cutting out jobs all the time. I mean, they cut out whole lines of jobs.
Yeah, I know
You know,
that
they,
too.
they don't care that people are without a job. The only thing they're concerned about now is how much it costs.
Yeah.
You know, what cost is.
Well, I can tell you one thing the union did for me when I belonged to it. I was out one time, and when I come back to work, they had took my job and give it to another woman. And I went to the shop steward of the spinning room, and he went to the union, and they made him give me my job back.
Do you know, Mama, that happened to me while I was working in the mill. This was back before the union was active in the plant. I went to work, and they gave me a job. And 2 weeks later, they hired the boss man's girlfriend, and they gave her my job. You know, I didn't have anybody to go to because I didn't even know that the union was in the plant.
Yeah.
But that's a big reason why I got involved in it, you know,
Well,
because of things like that.
Well, that's one thing they did for me, because they took my job and gave it to this girl while I was out. And when I went back, I was in the union then. My husband was still a dolphin. And when I went back, I went to the shop steward. I went to the union meeting, and they made them give me my job back.
That's great. You got your job back.
I got my job back.
You know, we've gotten a lot of people's jobs back lately. Companies fired them for one reason or another, and we've gotten them their jobs back.
Yeah, they threatened to fire me.
Why?
But they didn't.
Because of that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, could you talk about the changes you've both seen in the mills, particularly grandmother, because at one time there were very few or almost no colored in the mill.
That's one.
Ask her about that.
Okay, did black people work in the mill?
No,
What did
no.
they do?
I don't think that, not in the spinning area. They might have been in other parts of the mill, but they wasn't a black person in the spinning room.
Do you remember when they started letting them work in the mills?
No.
No.
But I don't, I can't remember really any black people in the spinning room.
Really? Well, you know, I had heard that some people were threatened with their jobs if they got involved, you know, in the union, or if they got involved in a strike or anything like that, that the company would take their job and give it to a black person.
No, I don't think that's right. I don't know now what they told them, but I don't remember seeing a black person in the spinning room.
Okay.
They had them in the warehouse, I guess, and in other parts, the shop, but they didn't have any blacks in the spinning room.
So they.
Ask your grandmother where her folks came from.
Where'd your family come from?
My family come from Surrey County. I come from Surrey County.
Do you remember how old you were when you moved here?
I was 5 or 6 years old. I guess about 5.
You remember
When we moved to North Cooley.
Do you remember why you moved here?
Well, no, I lived with my grandparents, and my grandfather's son lived here, and he decided to move here, so I lived with them. Of course, I had to move too.
Yeah. Did they work in the mill?
Yeah, my grandfather's son did. He worked in the cloth room.
Really?
Ask her about the fun in the mills and the music and so forth.
Okay. Did you have any kind of, any kind of recreation inside the mill or anything like that?
No,
No?
no,
Any music?
no,
No?
no.
Ask her if she sang while she worked, or if she sang with the other girls.
Okay. Did you and the rest of the people that you work with, did you sing while you were on your job, or?
I didn't. I don't know what they done. I said something besides singing sometimes. When they kept adding more work to us.
How did they add more work to you?
Well, they just every morning you go in, they give you a sheet with the number of your sides on it, how many you had. Next morning you went in, maybe you had another sheet with another side or two added to it.
You mean that was day after day they would change it
Not
like that?
every day, but as the work got fine or if it got coarse, sometimes they'd take sides off of you if it got real coarse. If it went to real fine, they give you more sides. At one time, I was running number 3s, and I had 4 sides. When they took that off, they increased the sides and gave me more sides. It depended on the work.
Now, were there efficiency men who came around and clocked you with a stopwatch?
Well, they had people that checked you with stopwatches. Every once in a while, they'd check about every week different people. They checked me a lot of times.
How'd you feel about that?
I didn't like it.
I don't like it either.
No, I didn't
They
like
still do it. I don't like it.
it. I didn't like it. But nothing I could do about it.
Did they ever go and tell about how you were running your job or anything like that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the way they still do.
yeah. Put down, some of them didn't put down half of the ends you put up. This one woman, she just stayed right on my heels the whole time she checked. She was right on my heels, seeing everything I'd done.
I didn't realize women did that.
Really? You want me to say that? I didn't realize that women did that.
Well, they do. They did here.
Really?
Yeah, I could name names, but I won't. I ain't got no time for that woman to this day.
Really?
No.
She must have
She
treated
had
you
a job. I guess she was doing her job. But I still ain't got no time for her.
She must have really treated you bad.
She did. She stayed right on my heels all the time. If I went to get a drink of water, she was on my heels,
Following you everywhere you went.
seeing how long I went to get water.
Do close-ups on the box now.
How old were you in this picture?
About 14.
You remember this picture?
Yeah, that was made. My husband was in the spinning room. That's when he was supervisor, overseer, whatever you call his job.
How about this one?
That was, I don't know why that was made, but it was a whole bunch of spinning room. But I don't know, fixers, I think that's what it was. And maybe the age, I don't really know why